Today we do a spoiler-free review and a full 30-minute breakdown of the Halo series on Paramount Plus. Episode 1, Contact. Let's begin. How do you do, G-Pod crew? It's your Naughty Buddy Putty here, and today we're doing a spoiler-free review as well as a full breakdown and then my final thoughts of Halo Episode 1, Contact. Now again, this will be the spoiler-free review in the beginning, and then I will go into full Easter eggs and breakdown of this first episode and my thoughts on it. So if at any point you do like this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, make sure to hit that like button, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I do my review and my breakdown of episode 2. Now, I have a lot to surmise when it comes to this series. It's a love-hate relationship that I have with this thing right now. And before I can even break down my thoughts and everything, I want to state that for any Halo fan, I feel like you're going to love this. But if you're really deep-rooted in the lore and all that story that's involved with it, be ready for some changes. Now, you might be saying, well, I'm used to changes when it comes to stuff. Marvel's done it, DC's done it, and everything. And I agree. And those, when they make the changes, they're really good. 90% of the changes they've done in here, I'm very optimistic about, and I'm very happy about. But then it gets to one point where I'm kind of deeply rooted upset as a fan of Halo, though I am just a fan of Halo 1, 2, 3, and Reach. After 4, which honestly I did play 4, did not like 4, but I will state that I did like the story that Bungie set up before 343 took over. Now understand, the series is not going based off of even 343's storyline. It's definitely sidetracking. I will explain it as we go through, but if you've watched the episode, you're definitely here either one, as a true fan, mad, or two, as a not too true fan or not a fan at all, and you just want information about the characters, the weapons, the vehicles, and I'll be breaking down all of that. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the breakdown. As far as what I feel like I'm going to enjoy this series, but I feel like there's going to be some obstacles I'm going to have to overcome. And with that being said, let's go into the full breakdown of spoilers, by the way, and then I will do my final thoughts at the end. So stick around for the end as well, or you can skip to the end, doesn't matter, for what I think. Now, our first Easter egg is Madrigal. Now, if you're not familiar with Madrigal, that's understandable, because Madrigal was never actually shown in the world of Halo. Actually, I think it was shown in Halo and Halo 4. I can't remember exactly. Actually, I don't remember it exactly, to be honest with you. But I do know that it was something that was mentioned as a big deal, which opening up this makes it very special. And that is because this is the first planet that was attacked by the Covenant and so-called glassed, which was attacked by plasma bombs. So this is an integral part in starting this series and having Madrigal be the first location mentioned. And the battle's never really, I think, been seen before until now, to the series. So even though this may be a different take on Halo, I like that they started this way. And finally, we have a first sign of the Elites. Now, the Elites are the Covenant army that comes in, and like I said earlier, when the first Easter egg, or we really don't call it Easter egg, but I guess lore that you may not know about the original game. But this stuff never happened in the actual game, nor the only thing that was mentioned was basically through tapes, information, material, things of that nature. Basic lore. And these are the elites. Now, this is the leading elite based on his armor, because they all have their armor types and who the main, the leader of each one is. And so the elites, again, have been around since the first Halo. And you can actually see here that they actually have different designs. And, of course, they have their traditional rifles that they use, which hopefully we'll see all of these as we go through. Because as I'm talking about the Easter eggs, I'm recording them as well. Now, I do want to apologize also that my image here is very grainy. For some reason, I restarted my computer, and still I'm getting low resolution. And it has nothing to do with my system or my computer or anything like that. That's because I checked other streaming services. Everything is fine. It's just something with Paramount Plus I'm having problems with. Hopefully, next episode, we won't have this problem. But in his hand, he's holding a plasma rifle. Now, the plasma rifle is the Covenant's go-to gun. I should say it's their primary gun. Outside of a smaller rifle, which I actually thought we'd see grunts, but maybe I guess grunts will come in later. But the plasma rifle is a very basic rifle. It's a very small rifle, but it works. It works for what needs to get done. And really was never one of my coup de grace guns. I will say, though, that he is holding a whole other weapon. See, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. He's holding a whole other weapon that I love, and was like my favorite weapon through Halo 1 and particularly Halo 2. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what he's holding right here in his right hand on the left side of the screen, the plasma sword. For those that don't know, the plasma sword is epic. It is one of those weapons that if they were ever to do a list of the most iconic weapons, even though the Needler might come in, plasma sword is number one in my eyes. So I'm so happy to see the first time the Covenant come in, this sword comes into play. And hopefully we get to see John, a.k.a. John 117, a.k.a. Master Chief, wield this as well. With that being said, let's continue. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched this episode, you know what's about to happen, or who's on that ship. If you haven't watched this episode, but you played the video game, you know who's on this ship. You may not know what the ship is, which is a Pelican. It is a UNCS's top ship, carrying one of their top members, ladies and gentlemen, a Spartan. They are here to stop the elite. This is about to become badass. By the way, again, I'm recording this prior to watching the whole episode. I'm pretty excited to see this part. Now, it didn't take long. As soon as I did the last part of the video, I thought maybe there was going to be an epic intro, but no, he just drops out of the sky right into the field like nothing else before. Ladies and gentlemen, this is John 117, the Master Chief, the main character of Halo, the video game, Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, any of those. Now, again, this is one of the most iconic video game characters to ever lay face to video games, especially in the first-person shooter, or the shooter genre, I should say, not first-person shooter, but just the shooter genre in general. Okay, I'll say first-person shooter. Very well known. And so I figured since we're going to be getting into Master Chief himself, we'll get into his rifle as well, the MA5C combat rifle that I know for particular this is the weapon that he's holding, or not holding, but that's on his back. So this is what the rifle looks like. But if you look on his back in the episode right here, there's that combat rifle. That's iconic. This helmet's iconic. This character is iconic. It's about to go down, and I hope this is good because, so far the CGI has been pretty bad. So I hope this is enjoyable. Either way, it's badass still. Now, I know this isn't really a breakdown or an Easter egg, but this caught me off guard. I was not expecting more Spartans to drop in, and I don't remember them having other Spartans during this war. This is confusing. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying there hasn't been other Spartans. Actually, one of my favorite games of all times, and it was the last Halo game that was made by Bungie, would be Halo Reach. And you see here, these are the original Spartans that never came back that went to Halo Reach. And Halo Reach, even though Halo 3 would be my favorite Halo of all times, Halo Reach was the coup de grace that basically was like making Halo 3 better. I had the Halo Reach statues and everything. Unfortunately, I don't have them no more, but I had the statues, the helmet, all that stuff. I freaking loved Halo Reach. Halo Reach was huge. If any of these Spartans are here, I'll be excited, but it'd be confusing then, because Master Chief was not involved with these Spartans at the time. So I'm sure that I've already explained this in my review, or the review part of this episode, which again, I'm recording afterwards after I watched, of course, the whole thing, and then the Easter eggs I'm doing before as they come along, so I don't miss anything, basically. But this is probably the most confusing thing, so I'll try to do some of my research on some of these characters once the names are said, and see if maybe they have lore that I'm not familiar with, because I haven't really played Halo 4. I played Halo 4, but I didn't play Halo 5 and beyond. So if these were mentioned later when 343 took over, then that's probably why I have no idea what's going on here. And maybe they changed the lore of the original war that the Covenant brought. Well, not the original war, but the original war on this planet. The Madrigal. This is just confusing, I'll be honest with you. Boy, do I love seeing this. This is the legendary M6G Magnum. Now, you may be wondering, what's so big deal about a pistol? Way back in the day when Halo first came out on Xbox, this pistol was OP. What I mean by OP is that people would actually use this this pistol, over any rifle in the game because it was that strong. They had to nerf the heck out of it when the later games came, and I think I even played the original Anniversary Edition of Combat Evolved, and it was even nerfed in that game. Oh, this is just a classic rifle that any Halo fan is going to remember how exciting and epic this gun was. So here we have John sporting it right here, about to shoot this elite in the head, and well, don't worry, the elite's going to be dead, because if it's as OP as it was in the game, he's going to be dead. Yes. Now, earlier I had stated that the elites carry the Type 25 plasma rifle, and it's a common weapon for the elites. But to see a Type 25 energy pistol held by an elite surprises me. Understand that, again, this is a gun in the Halo universe that you do actually see right here, right above me, but it's usually carried by these creatures, the grunts. So maybe we'll eventually see a grunt. I'm not sure. Honestly, you know, be the best part. Give us a grunt birthday party. You know, maybe like in a Beyond or something like that. Either way, it'd be funny. Let's move on. That's cool. Okay, let me go and explain one thing real quick. I consider it like an overshield that the Master Chiefs wear, or the Spartans wear. It's basically that you have to take a moment to let it boot back up. It's basically like it has like a percentage. It goes down, it comes back up, that kind of stuff. But it has a particular sound when it's like doot 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 whenever it's, you know, damaged, and then you hear ooh when it means it's going back up and it's ready to go again. Your shield's ready. So for them to use sounds like this in the show, they're definitely appealing to the fans of Halo. Even the fans that just like the original trilogy. Anyway, either way, it's awesome to hear these little Easter eggs. Now, early in their episode, I could not tell what kind of Covenant ship this was that's on the screen. And I think the reason is because I was thinking more of like the ship being face on. So, for example, this part right here I thought was the front of the ship. And so for me, it was a little bit like, what the heck is that? And I decided not to, you know, point out what it was in any way until I knew for sure. And now that I see it and they said what ship it is, of course the name's right there, it makes sense because this is the side of the ship. See, this is a Covenant Phantom. And the Covenant Phantom is like one of the major ships, just like the Pelican. And you can see it's actually the side you're seeing right here. So another reason why is because if you look at the way the front of the Phantom is, this seems more glassed off here, and they might have done that on purpose, or it just may be the way it looks right here. But this looks like it's more glassed off right here as well. So I even now that I see it is definitely a Phantom, especially with the little round edges right here. And you can see it's the same thing with the round edges right here. So 100% that's a Phantom. But it's sad that it took me until after the intro started for me to realize this, and also for one of the Spartans to say it too. Hey, my oopsie. I know a lot about the OG Halo, but we forget, especially if we haven't played it for a long time. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to the weapons of Halo, back in the day, they used to be pretty small, to be honest with you. Not much to really, what's the word I'm looking for? Not much to not remember what you have in the situation. So, seeing a rifle on here would be pretty excited that I'm familiar with, and ones I may not see may be confusing. Let me explain what I mean. At first, I thought he was handing him the battle rifle. It's a really good rifle from the original Halo series. Then I see this one, and at first I'm like, okay, the battle rifle has like a handle in it, and then it has the scope. This one doesn't. And then another thing is it seems like it has more of a an eye direction piece, and then this part right here. Again, I'm just explaining visually what I'm seeing. I'm not sure exactly what they're utilized for. But then me doing this video, I'm trying to make sure to get information out for everything. So seeing this rifle makes me go, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's from. I figured maybe it was from Halo Infinite, since I've never even really looked into Halo Infinite. I mean, at least Halo 5, I did some research when it first came out. Not a lot, but a little bit. And of course, I reach 4, 3, 2, and 1, and ODST. I played all of them thoroughly, went for the big achievements, didn't get all of them. Some of them you couldn't even do, they were time sensitive. But anyway, my point to the whole thing is I'm not familiar. So then I decided to go ahead and look up the Halo Infinite weapons. Now, you'll see there's the assault rifle here. The battle rifle I was talking about is right here where it has the handle to it and everything. But this one eludes me. I don't see it. Now, I thought maybe it was this rifle right here. I'm not sure what this rifle is right here, but it's not. Now, this is the traditional sniper rifle. Of course, here's the needler, the rocket launcher, which, which you can use the rocket boost. There's the shotgun, but I don't, and then there's this gun here. I don't know what this is. I may have used it and just didn't realize it, but again, I still have no idea. But looking at this, I thought, well, maybe that's the rifle. Then I look back and no, this definitely is not. So you get to fill it in. If you know what this is, please comment below. I will pin your comment so we can fill in the Easter egg for this one as well. With that being said, let's continue. Now, this is why I'm starting to like this series based on being a OG Halo fan and seeing particular things. What I mean by this is the Forerunners. Now, that symbol you see right here that's popping up is the Forerunners. The Forerunners are a species of aliens that actually basically established societies. They're an alien race, and they are the ones that made the Ark of the Covenant, and of course, the Halo ring, the Halo established area, all the things that make up why Halo exists and why the Spartans exist, and so on and so forth. So to see the Forerunner symbol on the screen right here when he's pulling this object, again, I don't know what this object is, but I definitely know a Forerunner symbol when I see it. That is amazing. So if you're wondering what that is, that's the Forerunner symbol, and they created the Halo. I love this show so far, aside from a few things, but I'm sure I've explained that in the review. Now, you'll notice that this elite put on something that made him invisible. Ladies and gentlemen, they just introduced you to the active camo. So Master Chief does have the active camo as well. I guess later he gets it. So it's a Covenant ability that you do see the Covenant activating right here as he's running away. So nice to see active camo involved as well. They're taking everything from the lore, kind of. See, here's my thing. You know what? I probably talked about in the review. I'm not going to get into it in this part. But I'm sure, because there's a lot I'm going to be talking about when it comes to the lore. Let's continue. No way. What? Hold on. What? Okay, so now I'm going to be filling into what the planet Reach is and why exactly the change from this series to what was before is pretty big. So understand, the video game Halo Reach is a prequel to Halo Combat Evolved. Master Chief is in the world, but they have other Spartans, which is the Noble Team Spartans I showed you earlier in my Easter eggs. Now, I did some research, and apparently I looked up the casting for this show, and the team that Master Chief is guiding is not the Noble Team, though some of them have very distinctive helmets, but that's because of the Spartans themselves having similar helmets in general. But then to see Planet Reach here, there's definitely a shift, because this planet's not supposed to exist unless something's about to happen now. Are we going to see the Noble Team as well? Like, here's my fear. One of two things is happening. One, we are going to see the Noble Team, and that story is going to progress either maybe later down the road or what. Or two, 343 is deleting the lore of, or not 343, well, if 343 is involved, but this show is deleting the story that Bungie made, which kind of upsets me, because that's the story that made Halo what it is. And for their finer coup de grace when it comes to Halo, it was Halo Reach. So I'm not exactly sure what's involved in this and why it's changed, but I'm sure, again, I've went into my review speaking about this as well, but I want to state that right now, this is taking me off guard. And just so you know, that Reach Halo Reach, the game, comes before Halo Combat Evolved. And I'm pretty sure that Master Chief does not have Cortana here yet. So where is this going to go? Because he gets Cortana after Halo Reach. And if Reach is still here, he can't get Cortana. I'm very confused. So again, lines in the video game, Reach gets destroyed, Noble Team gets destroyed, Master Chief gets Cortana afterwards, and Halo Combat Evolved. That's the lore, that's the timeline. Let's see what they're going to do. And here we have Catherine Halsey. Now, this just kind of popped up. The only reason I knew it was her, even though it shows the back of her, is because she said her name is Dr. Catherine Halsey. Now, how is she significant? Well, she also has a lineage where she actually gets with Jacob Keyes to have the child of Miranda Keyes, and she's also the creation of Cortana. So Catherine Halsey in general is just a very lucrative character when it comes to the Halo universe. So we are going to get to see Catherine Halsey here, which means we're also probably going to see Jacob Keyes and Miranda Keyes. But then, as I stated before, there is the whole Halo Reach story as well. So hopefully they'll explain it and how they're changing it. And now we have Admiral Paramount. Now, the first time I heard about her was actually in Halo 3 ODST, though is more of a mention than anything else. And of course, Halo 3 ODST has you as a Marine, a UNC, not a Spartan, but as a Marine. But either way, it was mentioned about her as well, and her relationship with the Halo, or just in general with the UNC. She's basically a former commander that is part of naval intelligence and the setup of the showing of the Spartans. So Catherine actually works underneath her. So how she can react when she gets involved with this and what Master Chief 117 is currently doing. But yeah, by the way, here's what she looks like. Sorry, forgot to bring a picture up. But here's what she looks like in the books and everything. So okay, so now I'm kind of filling in the blanks of information that may be misunderstandable and also is going to make some things a little bit crazy. Now, as I stated before, Halo Reach comes before Halo Combat Evolved, and in the series of Reach, they do have Cortana. Now, if you're not understanding what Cortana is, let me try to do a quick explanation, because I think Cortana is going to be in this episode, or maybe she's not. So, Cortana is a copy of Catherine Halsey that becomes an AI intelligent that has all the information of the military, the Spartans, so on and so forth. And of course, Catherine is the one that creates the Spartans. So that's the reason why she has that information, plus with being the clone. This is her clone. So this is what's going to end up being Cortana. But Cortana is also involved with the Reach, the Noble team with Reach in containing Katana from being destroyed. And then, of course, later Katana was given to Master Chief after Noble team saved it. But, of course, Reach was attacked by the Covenant. I know a lot of this doesn't make sense, but I'm thinking either they're changing again for the series, or this is going to be one hell of an episode. Okay, so we're actually 27 minutes into a hour episode. What's going to happen? I don't think Noble Team is going to have their action here die, and then Master Chief comes into play. So maybe Cortana doesn't come down into the last episode of the series or the season, and we may get a Noble Team episode. Or not. Again, these are confusing things and confusing thoughts, but I will state, this is the Cortana copy. I don't know how, I think that's what I'm going to call it right now, the Cortana copy. Basically, it's her clone, it's Catherine's clone that becomes Cortana. I hope I confused you enough. Let's continue. Oh my God, I can't believe we're getting High Charity. High Charity is the Covenant Command Center, and it looks like a mushroom. And I remember seeing this in Halo 2. Here's a picture of it from Halo 2. Now, the reason this is a huge deal to me and why I love it so much is when it comes to Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 1 had a great story, but Halo 2 and Halo 3 story were, in my eyes, some of the most unbelievable stories you'll ever see when it comes to Halo. And one character in mind is the Arbiter. I hope we see the Arbiter. Oh my God, if we see the Arbiter in this series, it'll be amazing. Arbiter was my favorite character, and I would always play second fiddle. Like when I played with my friends, I was always okay with playing on my friend's account, and they play as Master Chief, and I play as Arbiter. I love Arbiter, and I hope Arbiter is involved in this. If they took out Arbiter, it's going to make me sad. I can't believe High Charity is here. Wow. That's amazing. That's cool. Thank God they're doing pretty good when it comes to the little Easter eggs or all that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll see some grunts. This show keeps on getting better and better. We have the Prophet of Regret. That means we may get Arbiter. I'm freaking out right now. I hope to God we get Arbiter. The Prophet of Regret was in the original Halo 2. I did see there was actually more high-quality pictures of him, but I felt there wasn't a good representation without having the Prophet of Regret from Halo 2. And then I found this one, which I just picked quickly, but it's more of the hologram version of him. My point to the whole thing is I want to show what the Prophet of Regret looked like from the original OG Halo 2, the way I saw him, and he's in this show. No matter if they're changing the lore, I feel like what they're doing is they're making things a little bit smaller. But now it makes me wonder how they're going to do the Flood when it comes to the Forerunners and the Flood and all that kind of stuff. Like, are we going to see the Flood come in this season? Literally, that's a lot to put in one season. I can't wait to see what they're going to do. But oh my God, I can't believe this. We could possibly see the Arbiter. If you see me freak out next, then you know why. So, let's continue. And finally, I was wondering when she was going to come in, and that is Miranda Keyes, daughter to Jacob Keyes, and of course, Catherine Halsey, the one that creates the Spartan projects. She's more of a scientist. She's definitely a big part of the video games, and you can actually see her here. This is actually one of her original images from the Halo game. So, we are now bringing deep cut characters more, because honestly, before this, there's been characters that aren't even involved. That character that you see with the High Prophet of Regret, I don't know who she is. I looked up, and her name is actually I wrote it down here. It is Makee. But I don't know who Makee is. I've never heard of this character. So if you know who Makee is from the Halo universe, again, I'm starting to realize the show is adding a lot of new characters, maybe to give it more of a human aspect. But again, I'm sure I talked about that in my review already. I don't want to get into that too much. But Miranda Keyes is a scientist, a part of the UNCA. I can't even say the name right now. My point is, it's early in the morning when I'm recording this, guys. But Miranda Keyes is in here. She's been a part of Halo since the beginning. And here she is. And finally, we come to Jacob Keyes. I've been waiting for Jacob Keyes to come involved because of his involvement in the original Halo Combat Evolved. So, Jacob Keyes, of course, is the father to Miranda Keyes, and not really wed, but part of Catherine Halsey's life as well. So, this is what he looks like in the video game, and this is actually, his interpretation in the movie. I like, or the movie, I should say, series, but I do like what they did here. But he's a big part of how Master Chief also gets Cortana in the video game. So he's definitely not getting Cortana in this episode. I'm pretty sure on that, because Cortana is still that clone. But yeah, there you go. Now, as we go through this episode, a lot is being shown that could be overwhelming for a lot of people. For example, on the screen right now, this is actually Halo Reach's Alexandria location from the planet Reach itself. Now, it looks a little bit different, but I can see the towers and everything that look familiar, just like you see right here. Another thing is the Halo Heavy Frigate. FRIGATE. I can never pronounce it, but these are the ships that the UNC used in the Halo Reach, and you can actually see them right here, what they look like in the video game. So, again, a lot of little things are being put in here. Even though you've already heard me gripe about how the CGI in this is quite terrible, and it's in comparison to the Phantom Menace, which I don't know if I say that, but it looks just like the CGI back in Star Wars Phantom Menace, like the way he moves, even the alien of the Prophet. The Prophet looks like something you'd see in Star Wars The Phantom Menace. So CGI is pretty bad, but as for the lore, keeping the lore involved, pretty good. So I just want to make sure and mention that. Let's continue. Okay, we finally have Cortana mentioned. So, as I stated before, there's a lot of things that I feel like we're going to come up eventually, and this was one of them, was the Cortana situation. And now it's starting to make a lot more sense why they're changing things. So if you see John 117, aka Master Chief, is starting to get memories of his past. This isn't something that was major or at all in the original Halo trilogy. He wasn't humanized. He was basically something that was meant to be controlled and used as a Spartan, army. There was never also a contrast of the Spartans being the good, being bad guys in any way. They're always good guys versus the Covenant, which was the bad guys. Now what they're kind of doing is humanizing Master Chief and making it a different way, and I'm starting to think that they might be using the Cortana as a way to control John. But then what I think is going to happen, this is just a prediction, that Cortana is going to sympathize with him because she is a copy of Catherine, and in return, instead of controlling him, it's going to be one of those situations where she's going to sympathize with John, and it's going to bring a more human element to Master Chief. I don't really know, to be honest with you. This is a different change of pace when it comes to the Halo series. Well, not Halo series, but the Halo franchise as a whole in video games. But I'm starting to think I see why they're doing it in the first place. But this also means, how does Reach get destroyed? Is Noble Team going to be wiped off the whole story element when it comes to Halo? And where does the Flood get involved? Since the Forerunners didn't predict the Flood, but we already have a Forerunner symbol, so definitely Forerunners are involved. Does that mean the Flood's involved? Either way, Cortana's probably the key in that way to connecting John with what might be his human element. And finally, we get the BR-55 battle rifle that I explained about earlier, that when it came to that weapon that was handed to Master Chief. Now, at this point in the series, things have gone really, really crazy, and this has nothing to do with anything that's happened in the game as far as the extra Spartans, things of that nature. But I do have an idea, and I'm afraid that I might not mention it when it comes to my review, so I'm going to mention it right here. With the Spartans almost going after Master Chief, I feel like I'm starting to see another element that possibly could get involved when it comes to the series, and that is more of a multiplayer element. Imagine a bunch of Spartans coming after Master Chief, but Master Chief being that good, we get to see him actually battling other Spartans like you would in a regular game of Halo multiplayer. So this might be their ploy, is to give Master Chief more of a good element, but then also give him an element to where he could be potentially an enemy to the military, and then also an enemy to the Covenant. But he still has to get Cortana as well. So I have a feeling that Catherine Halsey is going to find a way to get Cortana to Master Chief. But this is also a reason why I'm noticing there's another character that's not involved in the series so far, and that would be Avery Johnson's character. Avery Johnson, the military character from the original Halo series. Avery Johnson is not seen at all, and he's like a commanding officer to the military. So they may have pulled his aspect out of here because of how he has a closeness to Master Chief. But it's a little bit crazy on how the changes are. But I think the changes are for the good based on what they might be doing. Again, Master Chief's not a bad guy, but they're making it out to be the people in command of him are the bad guys. A different element I've never seen before. But with that being said, yeah, you're here for the battle rifle. There you go, BR-55 battle rifle. Finally seen him in the show, and she's holding it. This doesn't make me happy. They went full-on Mandalorian, but at least in Mandalorian, they went on full-on Boba Fett. Why? Why is this so important to reveal his face? They did this with the original Judge Dredd movie, and now they are doing it with Carl. I can't think of his name. The guy that played the second Dredd did not remove his helmet. I thought we'd have a full series where Master Chief doesn't remove his helmet. We never see Master Chief. Why are they doing this? Well, I understand they want to humanize him, and you could still humanize him without taking off the helmet. Why? What is the point of doing this? I was enjoying this until this moment. Like, I understand for other people they may want this, but let us have our own thoughts of what he would look like. Don't make us see him, because I don't want that. I'm not happy with this. I'm not. We finally have our first visual of a Warthog. When it's after Master Chief, funny, ironically, whatever you want to look at it. But of course, every Halo fan knows what a Warthog is. And if you're new here and you never played the game, a Warthog is a 3-person terrain vehicle with driver, passenger, and then someone that's on the turret on the back of the vehicle. Now, if you notice, the names of vehicles are based on animals: Condor, Pelican, and Warthog. That's how it's always been when it comes to the Halo games. Every single vehicle is named after an animal. Now, when I get to my final thoughts of this episode and what I feel is going to happen, a lot of these details are not going to have anything to do with it, because these details are what make the episode great so far. But some other details are a little bit convoluted, confusing, however you want to look at it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and finish off this episode with my final thoughts. And now we are at my final thought. And first and foremost, I just realized I spelled episode wrong. So for anybody that's putting in the comment below, he spelled episode wrong. Yes, I spelled episode wrong on my side here, over here. If you look to the right, I spelled it E-P-I-O-S-D-E. Not a great way to start off the first episode. And I just noticed it right now at the end. I find it. I'll fix that. Don't worry. But that's not the reason I'm here. The reason I'm here is because of my final thoughts. They've changed a lot. Cortana, the fall of Reach, and of course, taking off the helmet of Master Chief. These are things that I don't think are now going to be involved. I think what they are trying to do is they're trying to make it to where they can have Spartan battles, just like multiplayer version of Halo, and they're trying to bring every single bit of lore. I don't think we're going to get an Arbiter, sadly. I don't think, because Arbiter does work with the military, and if Master Chief is going off the grid with the military, we're in for something quite different than we're used to in the Halo universe. I consider this the multiverse of Halo. Am I going to like it? I don't know. So far, I've enjoyed it until the unmasking of his helmet. This feels like it's going to be their version of Mandalorian, and it scares me because when you try to copy something else, if you can't do it correctly, it just doesn't work. I want to know what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy the episode? Tell me if you're a fan and you enjoyed the episode, and tell me if you're not a fan and you enjoyed the episode. I really want to know what everyone thinks in the comments below. Me, I'm not going to be too mean on it, though the unmasking of Master Chief bothers me because I never want him to have a face. And now he has one, well, at least for the series. And I don't know how I feel about that. Guys, stick with me next Thursday, I should say, for episode 2. And as always, I am Putty with the G-Plow crew. You know what we do. We do reviews like this. I'll see you guys next Thursday.